Here in this video, we will be going over all of your Tesla stock breaking news that you need to know today, as well as the data behind Tesla, including the short position that remains at multi-year highs. That sets you up for potentially a rally coming here soon. But not to point out the obvious here or the elephant in the room, we did have a lot of drama in the Middle East. I will give you an update on that and my expectations coming tomorrow morning. If you guys like markets, you like Tesla stock, or you just want to stay more informed about what's going on each and every single day, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's free 99. It costs you absolutely nothing to do so. And let's get started. First off, Tesla stock was down about 2% on Friday, up 0.33% in after hours. There's really two things that are going to affect Tesla specifically. On Friday, after extended hours closed, you did see Tesla announce that they are cutting the price of FSD all the way down to $99 per month. I think that will be taken as a positive. I think there's two different ways to look at that. Up front, Tesla may take in less dollars. But if the ultimate goal is to get to robotaxis, the data is really what is valuable. And I've heard a lot of analysts already praise this move by Tesla, saying this could cause adoption rates to 2, 3, 4x potentially. And that could really broaden the amount of people that do subscribe to FSD. And if Tesla takes on a similar business model to Netflix or Spotify or really any other subscription service, they get a lot of people on the service when it's cheap, and then they raise prices as you add more content, in this case, as FSD does get better. I think Wall Street will start to pay more attention to FSD now that the price was cut to really a value level. $99 a month, less than a Starbucks every single day. That's a good value for a car that can basically drive you anywhere you want with minimal interventions. So that is obviously likely going to be a positive factor to consider heading into tomorrow for Tesla stock. You also have this Middle East situation, which there's not a whole lot of good news there. As you can see, one of the leading risk assets, which I would consider Bitcoin, was at about $71,000 before this attack started against Israel from Iran. Now you're at 64,300. You've bounced a little bit from the lows when you hit about 61,000, but still that's a pretty risk off move. And Bitcoin's, I guess, the best gauge to look at, just to see like where markets could be coming tomorrow. And judging off of Bitcoin, markets are going to be down tomorrow. And this is likely going to be a negative factor that pushes against Tesla stock, and specifically that good news, Tesla cutting the price of FSD that we got on Friday. So I think it's really a toss-up which one prevails for Tesla specifically, but I think it's a pretty safe bet to make. Markets are going to be down tomorrow. On that note, I do have an update to provide to you in regards to this situation. But first, I want to point out, this happened on Saturday. We've had a couple of days to kind of digest what happened. You haven't seen any retaliatory actions yet by Israel, and that's the real question. Does Israel retaliate? Does Iran retaliate back? Does this spread into a larger conflict? Keep in mind, just like earnings for a company, it doesn't matter what already happened. It matters what's going to happen. And if there's perceived going to be pressure on oil to the upside as far as pricing, that's not good. That's what makes this situation potentially a black swan event for our markets. If the drama continues, negative. If the drama is over with, that's positive, and markets may actually buy the news on that. Here's a quick update. Israel says 300 Iranian drones and missiles down in unprecedented attack. Israel said it identified 300 threats of various types and eliminated 99% of those bound for Israeli soil, according to an update from the Israel Defense Forces spokesperson. Iranian's chief of staff of the arms force, he does say the operation has concluded and would involve no further actions. But Israel's war cabinet is said to be discussing a response to the Iranian attack right now. So if something comes out of that, then you have a problem for markets. And if you just want my opinion, I think things are probably going to get worse before they get better. Iran has enough enriched uranium for around 7 to 10 nukes currently, and I think, well, Israel wants to take away that capability and dramatically lessen the risk to their country. I am not a geopolitical expert, but I would say the situation's probably not over. So I would also say the fear in markets is probably not over either. But of course, we will have to wait and see what happens next. But as far as Tesla stock, the Anaheim Police Department has purchased 6 Tesla Model Ys. Anaheim Police said they chose the Model Y for its rapid acceleration, ample storage capacity, affordability, and low maintenance requirements. The Tesla Model Y accounted for over 35% of all EVs sold in the US in Q1 2024. The Model Y sales surpassed those of the next best-selling non-Tesla EV, the Mach-E, by a factor of 10. Additionally, it outsold the combined sales of the next 10 best-selling non-Tesla EVs. This is again another point to say Tesla is not really slowing down because of what Elon's doing or this or that. I really do think the reason why demand is slowing down for Tesla is because the Fed has so much restriction on lending. It's expensive as hell to get a new Tesla. It's expensive to buy a home or get a credit line or do anything in regards to financing. Hyundai is teasing their robotaxi. They say the IONQ 5 robotaxi is an autonomous EV that learns from every traffic situation it comes across. With over 30 built-in sensors, including LiDAR, radar, and cameras, the IONQ5 robotaxi has 360-degree vision, allowing it to detect obstacles from any angle to transport passengers to their destinations starting this year. Stay tuned for the driverless future. Let's be honest, this is likely not going to be any long-term competition for Tesla. I think the only competition Tesla is going to see in regards to the robotaxi is eventually end-to-end neural net networks, because there's only so much you can do with code, with LiDAR, with cameras. Sure, that's okay for obstacles, but what about wet concrete? What about emergency service vehicles? Cruise and Waymo, they were operating for a couple of years and still are facing some pretty big problems there. And if you feel like earnings season just ended, well, you're correct, but a new one is starting. Tomorrow morning, you have Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, M&T Bank, Guarantee Bank, and Caliber. Monday, you have a couple banks and a couple other less notable names. Tuesday pre-market, you have Bank of America, the United Health Group, Johnson & Johnson, Morgan Stanley, BNY Mellon, PNC, Ericsson, and some other banks. Tuesday after hours, you have United Interactive Brokers, JB Hunt. Wednesday pre-market, ASML, Abbott, U.S. Bank Corp, Citizens, couple other banks also. Wednesday and after hours, you have Alcoa, Las Vegas Sands, Kinder Morgan, Discover, and a bunch of other banks. Thursday is going to be your big day as far as the broader markets. You have TSMC, Nokia, the Blackstone Group, KeyBank, Alaska Airlines, and Ally Bank. Thursday pre-market. After hours on Thursday, you'll have Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, PPG, and again, a bunch of other banks. And then Friday pre-market, American Express, PNG, Huntington, and more banks. Banks will also be important, specifically in regards to what they say about the consumer, but Netflix, TSMC, ASML, Las Vegas Sands, Discover, American Express, United, all of these will also be important, especially Netflix, as that is grouped into your, bigger tech name, right? If Netflix has bad earnings, that really sets a bad tone for the entire sector of big tech. Same could be true with TSMC and ASML, high-flying, quote-unquote, AI stocks. If they report bad earnings, that's a bad sign for NVIDIA, which is obviously a bad sign for the rest of the markets. Vice versa, if there's awesome earnings coming out of these companies, that could continue to hold on to the narrative that people are going to spend money. Company earnings are going to come in good, and that would be, confirmation of really the only bull thesis left at this point for stocks is earnings are going to come in good. As you can see, Tesla's global inventory numbers continue to be quite elevated for the Model Y. The Model 3 inventory has recently jumped, which I'll tell you right now, trying to buy a new Model 3 off existing inventory, there's like 4 in my 200-mile radius. There's not a lot of them. So getting more out there would definitely be a positive, right? There's a lot of demand for the Model 3 in the US, but just production has been slow. Not a lot of existing inventory of cars that have already been produced. To get more inventory out there is good. I would like to see the Model 3 right up about here where my cursor is. Maybe 5,000, 4,000, 5,000 in inventory. That would look like a much better number and be a good sign for Tesla's deliveries overall. Now, the Model X actually has more inventory than the Model 3, which is crazy. The Model X has about 2,600 for inventory. The Model S is sitting at about 1,200 and the Model 3 at about 2,300. And again, it looks like Tesla has found that sweet spot for advertising on Google. They're currently running about 4,000 different ads. Google Trends data for full self-driving over the past 12 months is obviously at an all-time high. You peaked here at 100 between March 31st and April 6th. You fell down to 50 between April 7th and April 13th, and now you're back up to 53 for April 14th through the 20th. And this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see, obviously, you're not going to stay at 100 for trend activity for, FSD after they just gave out a free trial and everyone was searching about FSD. That's obvious. But I want to see, do we hang out in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 30s, or do we go back to, 10, 12, 18 on the high side like we were at prior to this free FSD trial? That will tell us a lot about continued activity and interest into full self-driving and likely even be a good indicator of what, adoption rates are also looking like. But I will tell you, so far, so good as far as FSD is concerned. Over here on StockTwits, Tesla's sentiment today is neutral at 52. Yesterday, you were bearish at 43, so sentiment's looking a little bit better heading into Monday. Message volume is a little bit lower. One day ago, you were at 41. Currently, you're at 37, so that could be better, but still, it is the weekend. It is a Sunday. That is to be expected. And the participation ratio is sitting at 55, which is considered high. Here you can see on Google Trends, over the past 12 months, the Cybertruck is really just exploding with search trend activity. It's remarkable. Look at the Cybertruck, this blue line here, just exploding, continuing to move higher. And it's actually funny. I've been shown quite a few different memes on Facebook about the Cybertruck. People are saying, hey, I just got cut off by a refrigerator, or that was a pretty funny one I seen other ones that were just hilarious as well. You're starting to get more social media attention around the Cybertruck, and I think that's clearly being reflected in the Google Trends data. I would say this is a massive catalyst for Tesla stock throughout the rest of 2024, considering the Model Y launched on March 13th of 2020, and 1 year later, overall deliveries for Tesla were up over 86%. I don't know if that's going to happen because the number of Tesla's total deliveries has grown a lot, but to sit here and say Tesla's deliveries might be down year over year, I think the Cybertruck's really going to help out with that. And some individuals like Adam Jonas expect Tesla's deliveries are roughly going to be flat. Same thing with Bank of America. And most analysts out there are not expecting much growth as far as volumes for deliveries. Now, I hope Tesla takes the stance of focusing more on profitability. I think that is what is going to cause Tesla stock to rip faces off to the upside after Tesla's earnings. If they don't, then you're really going to be counting on, at this point, deliveries coming in higher than expected. Given the current market environment for financing products that is so unaffordable, I mean, I would much rather count on profitability coming in better than deliveries, jumping out of nowhere. Just again, because the financing costs are insane. I mean, a base level Model 3, like just standard as low as it comes, $38,900 or so dollars, you're looking at about $550 a month for financing with over a 720 credit score. And that's extending it out 84 months with $4,500 down. If you don't put a down payment down, if you customize your financing option to be the cheapest up front, you're looking at over $600 plus per month to finance a Model 3, let alone a Model Y, Model S, Model X. We're not even talking about those, let alone the Cybertruck. Yeah, that's not even a topic of conversation for a lot of people with where rates currently are. But nonetheless, the Model Y search trend activity here on Google continues to be at about 30, which is unchanged. The Model 3 dropping from 24 to 21, the Model S going from 11 to 10, and the Model X going from 9 to 8. As far as Tesla's short position, it is massive. The largest short position you have seen in a very, very long time, like multiple years. If we do get good news, just on a numbers basis, Tesla stock is in a good position to squeeze the shorts and to move higher. Maybe, really high off of good news. Depending on what happens, I believe the soonest that could happen is Tesla's earnings on April 23rd, but that is my expectation personally. Come to your own conclusions, but I am very bullish on Tesla's upcoming earnings because expectations are very low. Now, when you add this to it, the fact that the short position is off the charts for Tesla, I think that makes things a little bit more juicy and potentially volatile coming on Tesla's earnings. You do have short interest of free float sitting at 3.9%, the highest in many years. $18.84 billion currently in short positions, with almost 108 million shares that are currently sold short. That would be over a day's worth of volume, just pure buys heading into the stock. If you spread that out over a couple of days, let's say 25% of average volume being shorts covering, you could see an extended rally for multiple days. That's a pretty big deal. And for the most part, this short position is a lot of big money. It's hedge funds, it's institutions. Not a lot of retail investors go out and actually short stock. Obviously, some do. But this is just factoring in mainly big money, let alone retail investors that have sold out and will start to pile back in once the price action starts to look stronger and better to the upside. But again, there's no telling what actually happens to Tesla or the broad markets considering this Middle East drama, at least until we get to Tesla earnings. Anything could happen here, and downside from here is probably the most likely scenario before Tesla's earnings based on where markets are at. Markets are really at a tipping point. You closed under your 50-day moving average on the triple Qs on Friday. That's not great considering tomorrow looks like it's going to be a pretty negative day also. I mean, you're kind of in no man's land under the 50-day moving average. You may find a little support around 432 on the triple Qs, but then you have a gap to fill down to about this 100-day moving average at 420. And I think that is all but a foregone conclusion. That is likely going to happen. That's not to mention if earnings come in bad this week. If earnings were to come in bad, then you really have no bull thesis left for stocks, and things could get dramatically worse from there. So if you can't tell, I'm not particularly excited for upside this week in our markets. It may be far and few between. Nonetheless, Tesla stock sitting pretty close to this 20-day moving average if the markets take the FSD price reduction as good news, which I'm sure they will. Maybe that does counteract some of the weakness you see from this Middle East situation over the weekend. Maybe that could mean Tesla's stock goes higher, or my expectation is maybe the stock doesn't fall as much as some other stocks. I think anything's truly possible here. If you get above this yellow line, that's going to be fantastic news. This yellow line is at $172.37. Tesla stock Friday and after hours was at $171.61 per share. So you're less than $1 away from this. If you break out to the upside above that 20-day moving average, you could find yourself back to the high 170s, 177, 178. You break above that, you get to your 50-day moving average level of resistance at $181.85. And then your 188 resistance, that would be the gap down that you've seen on March 4th. And then the round number of 200 is likely going to be some resistance as well. So there's a lot of resistance to the upside, but especially if you get above 200, that's where you get into much larger potential upside. And if we do look at the Bollinger Bands, which does just show this 20-day moving average here in this middle line, and then it's showing you your deviations, right? So what tends to happen is Tesla stock, or any other stock for that matter, tends to usually trade or find its way back to the 20-day moving average, this middle line here. But it does show you when you start to get bullish or out of a standard deviation range for any particular stock, to the upside or the downside, are these lower and upper bands. So if you get above where this upper band is at about 180.73, then you could be looking at more upside. That does coincide with roughly where the 50-day moving average is as well. And if you were to break out above that, things get really good. If you break under about 164, things could get worse from here. Now, typically, the thinner the bands are, the closer together they are, the less volatility you have seen, the more likely you could be to see a reversal to whatever trend that you have seen, or a big move up or down. The wider the bands are, the more volatility you have seen, and the wider the range also tends to be. So based on this, I mean, things could go either way. You're sitting right in the middle here, and you want to see what happens next over the next 1 to 2 trading days. Your MACD lines are also trying to trend upwards. MACD line itself, this yellow line, is -3. The signal line is -4, but anytime your MACD line crosses above the blue line, that's a good sign. And the longer you stay above the blue line, that's an even better sign. So Tesla stock has been above the blue line for a while now. If you do start to get closer to going positive, that could also be good, but you're still pretty substantially negative. And this just shows you kind of the overall mood around Tesla has been negative for a while. The MACD has not been positive since back here January 5th of 2024. The last time you actually broke positive was November 6th of 2023. So if you break positive again, probably after Tesla's earnings, that is, again, another one of those technical indicators that says you're so oversold right now, you could rally quite aggressive just to get back to a neutral, like a 0 on the MACD or a 0 on the signal line. So let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. In the next video, we will be going over my exact expectations for this upcoming week, break down your most important earnings, whether or not I think this Middle East situation is going to get worse, which I already mentioned here in this video. I think it's going to get worse, but how is that going to affect Tesla specifically? I think that's a big question we all want to know, especially if you're heavy in Tesla like I am now as well. So that video will be coming out roughly at about 8 p.m. tonight. Stay tuned to the channel. Sometimes YouTube puts it out like a minute or two after 8 p.m. So just bear in mind, if you don't see it right out at 8 p.m., it might be a couple minutes after that. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. I have to go turn on SpongeBob again for my daughter over there. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.